Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series.
Because creators are businesses.
What we do is not simple.
Give, the fans everything that they deserve.
Being creative
is like doing a 5,000 piece puzzle.
Is something that you can learn and do over and over again.
Always be as authentic as I can be.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series. I am thrilled today to have Miss Chelsea Siegal here with me. She's the current senior digital content coordinator for the Knicks. We're in the NBA household today. Chelsea, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
I am thrilled. You have an immense background in sports, working in a variety of different areas. You're in NBA today. You're an intern in NFL. You've been in so many different areas of sports. Kick me into what got you into sports in the first place. Where did your passion and love start for sports?
My passion for sports started a while back, back in high school when, you're trying to figure out where you want to go to college, what you want to study. Yeah. So I came to the conclusion that I wanted to be a sideline reporter. That was the dream. I wanted to be Erin Andrews. I wanted to be her. Like that was the goal. So I said, okay, well, how do I get there? And I came to the conclusion that I wanted to get into a broadcast education with a focus on sports. That seemed the most logical to me. So I applied to schools accordingly. I ended up going to Syracuse. I studied in the Newhouse program as a broadcast and digital journalism major. And I picked sport management as my minor. That way I could have the sport influence. Yeah. Because at the time they didn't have a media track like they do now. So while I was in school, I was getting, the communications, the journalism background. And throughout the summer, I would get internships for sports teams. Yeah. Now, it didn't seem so obvious to me, but no one's hiring a freshman out of college to do sideline reporting. Go figure. So I kind of got my foot in the door through video production. And as I started going that route, I was like, you know what? I actually really enjoy this. It allows me to be creative. It allows me to work in sports. It allows me to be part of the action. It allows me to interact with players and coaches and all the heavy hitters. And plus, to be perfectly honest, I didn't have to put a full beat on of makeup every day, so that was kind of a win. Not that I minded being on camera, it's a lot of effort. I wasn't ready for it at that time. We've progressed in that, but that's a whole different conversation. So I went the video production route. I worked for collegiate summer baseball. I worked for minor league baseball throughout school. And additionally, while I was in school, I was also running the social media track, these social media accounts for the marching band, which I was actually a member of. Yeah. So I was able to get the social experience in a sports atmosphere. I was able to get the video production for actual sports during the summer. So by the time I was graduating from college, I said, I really like either video or social. So I kind of just went from there, and it's how we ended up here.
Here's how we are today.
How we got here today.
There we go. And now hitting back to this, you've worked pro basketball, football, hockey, baseball. What have you learned about the different cultures of each sport, and how has that helped you approach your career?
A lot of similarities, a lot of differences. I'd say honestly, the similarity is you're dealing with people at the end of the day. It's kind of like you have to take this psychological approach of how do I get people to feel comfortable with me so I can do my job. That's what it is at the end of the day. Because, if I'm standing by a door trying to get mini mic content with hockey, football, basketball, baseball, what have you, I need those players to feel comfortable with me in order to get the best product, which at the end of the day is my job. So across the board, it's always just making sure that I'm building the best possible rapport with my players, because in turn, like I said, I'm going to get the best possible product. So In terms of similarities, I'd say at the end of the day, you're working with people. In terms of the differences, I'd say really the only difference is the nitty-gritty of the types of content that you're gonna talk about. And what I
Yep.
mean by that is, you know, I'm not gonna ask a hockey player, oh, can you spin a basketball on your finger? Things like that. I'm not, and vice versa. I'm not gonna have those kinds of weird crossovers. But then you translate it to the sport. So I would say really those are only the kinds of differences that I would notice, other than obviously the schedule differences of time of year, frequency of week, things like that.
Now, looking back on the career you've had so far, has there been a role that has felt like the biggest leap in responsibility for you, and how did you grow into that?
I'd probably say, honestly, my first full-time job, and that was with minor league hockey. That was the first job that I had gotten out of school. Because prior to then, I had been doing summer internships where I had a seasoned
Really?
boss who was helping me kind of dictating what to do. And this was the first point where I was really kind of on my own. Yes, I had a full-time staff around me and I wasn't no longer the intern, but I had to figure out on my own, navigating corporate America, honestly, because it's not corporate America, but it's working in an office with people. It's making sure all the responsibilities I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Not only am I aware of them, I'm executing them, making sure, within those responsibilities, some of them people are paying for things like sponsored assets, making sure those are getting out on time, properly in agreement with our director of corporate partnerships. So kind of just navigating and figuring out all those different facets of now being a full-time person was kind of a lot. And at the time I was a year after school, so it was 2021. I was hopefully this math is correct. I believe I was 23. So it's a lot for a young person who's never been that full-time role to now work for a minor league team. It was a triple A team. So I'm sorry, it was a double A team. So just making sure that I had all of the things
Yeah.
figured out and working and flowing.
Yeah. All your ducks in a row. The ducks are swimming.
The ducks are alive. Making sure those ducks are alive and they are being fed and they are swimming.
You've experienced both the local markets with the Reading Royals and the Rochester Red Wings, and then you've got the taste of the bigger brands with the Knicks and the Browns. How different is it working at the grassroots level compared to a global level or a bit the bigger stadium in sports?
Oh, it's everything, honestly. I will frequently tell kids either come like still in college, fresh out of college, and they say, I want to work, I want to work at the Knicks, I want to work. I'm like, look, it can be very glamorous, but you're gonna get the best experience at that lower level because it's such a smaller staff. You're usually a team of one or two, and by one I mean yourself. Like you're on your own. So you're gonna get a lot more of that hands-on experience, and you're gonna be, I don't mean this negatively, but you're not gonna be as pigeonholed. So, for example, when I was either in Reading and it was, my title was social media digital marketing, I was doing a lot of things. I was running the social channels, I was capturing the content, I was interviewing players for the content. I was building out Facebook digital ads. I was working with the ad companies. Like we had those do you know the Val packs? Like
Yes.
So I was working with Valpak. I was working with Billboard people. I was working with iHeartRadio. I was working with all these different facets that essentially were under the umbrella of media. And again, 23 years old and I'm doing this. So that's at the minor league level. You're not going to get that at the major league level because right now, what I'm doing either in New York or in Cleveland was very specific. And that is you are capturing content you're scheduling and organizing, and you're publishing it. That's essentially the gist of the job.
Yeah.
Yes, there are smaller things here and there, but you're not going to get as wide of a variety of things than at the minor league level. And even when my very first internship in summer collegiate baseball in upstate, I was technically an intern. That was my title. But then when I'm, relaying all of the tasks that I had done to one of my professors when I was cleaning up my resume, he said, Chelsea, you are not an intern. You put media manager on that resume. The amount of shit that you were doing, put it on there. Put that on there. I said, heard.
Say less. With, and I mean, it's so funny because I was actually just talking to somebody. You look at roles that are out there today, and you look at some place might have a marketing specialist and another has the same role up, and you're like, oh, same role. Okay, great. I can go and apply for this role. It's not the same role. It is so interesting now today how different roles are with those same titles and like the roles and responsibilities that fall underneath because there's so much that just gets clustered into these roles.
Yeah. And then again, it's like I also tell kids like, yes, it helps to put a keyword search when you're applying for jobs, but at the same token, like you're saying, not two companies can look at a media coordinator or sorry, marketing coordinator as two different things. So it's really imperative that you do read those job descriptions beyond just saying, oh, marketing, I know marketing, apply, because they could actually be looking for a social person and you have no social experience.
With sports being such a fast moving environment as it is today, how do you like to balance creating content that is maybe on the trendier side while with building a career that's sustainable and long term and trying to balance those two things?
I think in a sense they're actually kind of one and the same, especially in this industry. Being able to be aware of things that are coming up, aware of how you can apply trends to your brand. Maybe you don't apply certain trends to your brand. I think that is very telling on how a person functions in their role. Because what trended 3 years ago is not going to trend today, it's not going to trend in 3 years, theoretically. So being able to have that, it's a skill to be able to stay on top of things, and that skill will transcend. The trends may not, but the skill will. So in terms of having that longer term longevity in your job, I think that having that skill is the most important thing for sure.
I'm over here, I'm like, yes. Yes, Chelsea, thank you for calling that out. I think that's so incredibly important because I don't know about you. I get on the TikTok doom scroll in my role as social media manager, and I just am doing it sometimes. And I constantly see people of like 2020, bringing back the 2020 trends, and I'm like, do we need to? Do we need to bring back trends from that time? Does it apply to today, or can we move that bus on along?
Exactly. I mean, look, research is a skill, and that's basically what this is. It's research. It's research. Doom scrolling, in a sense, can be research.
I can add it to my roles and responsibilities for jobs. Now, we talked about the ducks and how we kept the ducks alive, swimming, and fed. You've been trusted to run accounts solo on game days, which props to you. I don't know how you've done that, but props to you because that is no small feat. How do you build that kind of trust with your leadership in those high stakes environments?
I'll talk more so my experience with the Browns on this one because that I was so for the Browns, what I would do is I'd show up on game day. I would get down on the field, getting some kind of cell phone content of pregame and, the guys warming up and all that good stuff. But once the game started, I would head up to the press box and I would be focused on Facebook. I was on Facebook remainder of the night. That was the job. And kind of overarching as to one of the things that helped me get that role, because I had talked to my director about it. He said that since I had the previous experience with the minor league hockey team, he knew that he could trust me and have the comfort with me to be able to basically know what I'm doing. I wasn't evergreen. I wasn't inexperienced. I mean, yeah, I guess I was like a young kid. I was one of like 24, 24, 25. But he had the confidence that since I had already done it, I had done it in minor league hockey. I had done it for the marching band for 3.5 years. He just knew and he felt comfortable with me based on that and just working with me on a daily basis. I had created that trust with him. So they knew that they could put me on the platform. I was going to have questions. I mean, everyone has questions initially, and even not even initially. End of the season, I could have a question. Things come up. It's sports. Weird things happen all the time, every day. But they knew that I could handle it, and I wouldn't need to have my hand held. So it was a kind of a combination of different things.
I want to hit on, this marching band side. Marching band took you all over the country for sporting events. How has that shaped the way you experience now as a professional? Has it changed in any way? Is it different from how others kind of view and watch sports?
I can actually tie in marching band, and also when I was in high school, I was on the varsity dance team. So
You've
I've been
traveled.
on the field for quite some years, mind you. I did all 4 years of varsity dance team and kick line in high school, so I was around the football and I was around the basketball. So from there, it actually kind of got used to like how games work in a professional setting. It was more so, I guess, like an event presentation mindset because I was part of the event presentation at that point, being marching band and dance team. But you kind of see the side of sports that you don't as a visit as a spectator. So I've been kind of in the weird background mindset since 2012. That was my freshman year of high school. Um, so from there, I got kind of the EP stuff. And then in college, with the courses and everything, I kind of got exposed more so to, I guess, also sponsored stuff. Because, you take classes on event presentation and I'm forgetting the actual title of it, but managing all this stuff in arena. So I would have to make ribbon boards.
Okay.
What's going on the ribbon boards? Logos people are paying a lot of money for. So that kind of also started being ingrained into me of how are you incorporating all different aspects of a game day experience. So that's how that kind of transcended. And then once you get into, the actual working for a team, working in the front office, you get more so all that good stuff. But yeah, no, I've been analyzing sports from a professional standpoint since 2012. It's been a long
Yeah.
time.
Do you ever feel like you truly, when you are covering games, when you're not covering games, do you truly feel like you get to be a fan? Do you feel like Chelsea's shaking her head at me?
Oh, life is ruined. No, I'm not gonna say that's ruined. That's exaggerating. That's being dramatic. No.
Do you still have like the teams that you grew up with, and you still feel like you can cheer them without having to feel like you have that hat on of analyzing or working or anything like that?
I think it's easier from watching something from home, but once I'm put into that environment, and again, my head starts going of noticing how long ribbon boards are up, who is sponsoring timeout activities. I look at the social media for different accounts and I'm like, oh, there's a sponsored asset, there's a lockup. So my mind does never turn off in that sense. But in terms of like I recently went to a Savannah Bananas game and I was fine doing just like kind of vegging out and being a fan for that. I
I,
think it's because it was a
I
total disassociation. Like I had no connection to this team, nothing at all. So I can kind of just enjoy it more.
you're like, I don't have a favorite. I don't have a person. I'm good. Now, with you've traveled, you have a love for history, you can geek out about some classic rock, which I appreciate. How do these personal passions of yours, or do they even get to like show up in your work in sports?
I joke with my dad that he raised me well. Why? Because I'm essentially a 50-year-old man in all of my preferences. I like classic rock. I like to fish. I like other music from the 70s and 80s. I like the 80s movies, like the Brat Pack stuff. I'm a 50-year-old man. That's what I've told my dad. So, in terms of, which is honestly another way that Facebook was perfect for me to work, because then I could make references and puns that the people on the platform would get. So I would say that all those kind of personal preferences usually can't really come out anymore just because I'm outdated. Myself, I am outdated. But every so often
Yeah.
it can be relevant. Like, oh, I'll use a perfect example. Okay, we yes, it was in football and there was a trick play.
Okay.
I was posting on Facebook and I made a reference how the play was tricky, tricky, tricky.
Good. Good.
People this generation won't know it's tricky, tricky, tricky.
I like it. I resonate with you. Like my dad always wanted. He grew up playing sports. He grew up all like every season there was a sport. He had two daughters. He always wanted a son. Had two daughters. I said, "You're lucky though." I said, "Because you have two daughters that love sports, played sports." Him and I are season ticket holders for Carolina Hurricanes. So I'm like, I am your girl, college football every morning, every Saturday, NFL Sundays, whatever. Like,
Feel that.
he had two daughters that know how to ball. That's my reference for everybody.
They know ball.
They know ball, and I'm like, and it's not just. Please do not come to me and ask me to name five players on the team or think that I like the sport because they're hot. It's not happening here.
I've never been asked that question, but I'm dying for the day that someone does.
With sports media evolving as fast as it is, we've got AI, we've got new platforms popping up all the time. What excites you the most about the future of content in sports?
Oh, I guess in terms of the future, I think it's just I'm always intrigued to see how creative people can get in terms of things that trend, things that don't trend. Like recently, whoever started the like the banner framing of like, oh, trying to figure out how this will work, never mind, got it. Like who came up with that? And then there's the obvious of, oh, can you spin a ball on your finger? And then every basketball team's gonna do that one. So I'm always interested to see what people will come up with and how it'll be executed, and then how different teams will make it their own.
I love that. It's always interesting. I'm like, there's always, like we've been talking about, there's always something new popping up, something cool that somebody's done a really amazing edit or something that everybody's like, well, I now want to go try and figure out how to do this myself. It's so cool to see the creative space that people get into with some of this stuff, especially around sports.
Precisely.
What would you say to fresh Chelsea out of college, out of Syracuse, about building a career in this space? What would you tell her?
Oh, I tell her so many things.
I
I think first and foremost, I would warn her. And this is the unfortunate side of being a woman in sports. And I tell this to a lot of college kids. Like, honestly, I will say it's better in this day and age than I say in this day and age. It's been a few years, Chelsea. Be so for real right now.
There's the 50-year-old Chelsea coming out.
Um, Starting out in sports, I dealt with a lot of the being a woman issues, which is unfortunate because that was not my intention. I'm not out here working 80 hours a week away from home to do what you think I want to do with your collegiate level players.
Yep.
Um, so dealing with that, I think, is the thing I would warn her of first and foremost of look, you may deal with it, hopefully you don't.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's something that you will that you may have to deal with, and don't take it personally because you're not the first and you're not going to be the last. And that's just the unfortunate side of being a woman in this industry where you're front facing with these guys. I would also warn her that if you want to, and I again I say these things to all women I speak to in college, like if you want to work in sports social and you want to start a family, it's gonna be difficult. Like I can tell you right now, and again, like I work at a higher level team and basketball is more frequent than other sports, but like sometimes in season I'm working 130 to 150 hours every 2 weeks. So that's another thing that some people might have to consider if they want to work in this industry. Another thing I would tell her or anyone else that's coming out of college is you're not going to necessarily get to work in the most glamorous cities initially. As you've rattled off, I've lived in a lot of different places working for a lot of different sports. And were they all my favorite? No. Were some of them great? Sure, absolutely. But did I want to be in New York the whole time? Hell freaking yeah. Like this is my like yes, it's my market, but it's my home. I'm from Long Island. Like I wanted to be here post college. It took a few years. Luckily, it only took a few years, but it wasn't the plan. Who knew I would have to move around so much?
Yep.
But on a more positive note, ending on the positive, I would say that it's going to be you're going to work long out, and that's another thing, you work long hours, but it's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to meet great people, whether it's the people that you work with, the people that you're working for, meaning the players. Like you're going to meet so many different people and you're going to meet so many different you're see so many different things. Like I've traveled to some places in the country that I've never thought I would go to. Like I didn't see myself going to Oklahoma City, yet there I was. I didn't see myself going to Portland, and there I was. Like I didn't see myself going to a lot of different places, and I had that opportunity to, and also get to be courtside at Knicks games for all of them. So there's a lot of great perks that you're gonna get, but just know that with those perks comes a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And that is what I would warn either myself or not warn. That's what I would inform myself or other kids coming out of college that want to do what I do.
I appreciate you being so candid and so transparent with that as well, because I think as much as you and I were joking around about, coming up to me and asking me 5 players, it's the reality of being a sports fan too. Outside of your role in working, for a team or for an organization, like that's the reality of being a female as a sports fan too, is we can't just enjoy and love the game. There has to be a hidden purpose behind it, which is sad. I think and I hope it's gotten better. And that's my hope, is that the little pieces that you do inside the organization and how you spend your career and where you go from there, whether it's you stay with the Knicks or you go do something else. And me as a sports fan, using this platform as a way to continue spotlighting people like yourself and others who are doing the damn thing in sports and, being a woman in these areas. I hope it makes somewhat of a difference, that it doesn't have to be that space for the next generations that are coming after us.
I always try and be very honest because like it doesn't help anyone when you're not honest. And I'll give a very funny story. When I was in Reading, I was invited to speak on a panel for college freshmen about career readiness. And again, I'm like, you want me to talk about this? I'm a year out of college, but all right. So I'm on the panel. It's me and let's just say older people that were not in their early 20s.
Yep.
It's me and four people that were not in their early 20s, sitting up front, chatting, whatever. And one of the kids asks, when we apply for jobs, do you guys look at our social media? Do you look us up? And four people go down the line, they give their very PR appropriate answers of, oh, well, we have HR people, we cannot speak if they do or anything. But comes to me, go, I'm looking your shit up. Like, I didn't say that, but I'm like, I'm looking you up. Like, you're applying for a job to work with me. I'm looking you up. I'm gonna be really honest about it. Like, I'm looking you up. I'm looking at what you do. I'm looking up what you like to do in your free time. I'm looking up what you enjoy. I'm looking you up.
Yeah.
So if you got something you want to clean up, clean it up. And that just clean it up. And that's just kind of a standard for anything, whether you're applying for a job, you're applying to schools, make sure you're very cognizant about all the things that you're putting out there. It didn't feel like I feel like I'd be doing a disservice. I'd be lying about that. Because all my friends, like my coworkers here, other places, we got new hires. We're all looking them up. We're all stalking them. Like, let's be so for real.
For years, my dad has always instilled in my sister and I of what you post on social media never leaves. People will always find it. People who are, you want to go get a job somewhere, that is what people are looking at. And so I've always had my social media being that way of like, if you don't want an employer to see it, probably shouldn't be posting it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've already made leaps, like taking the Knicks Snapchat from near the bottom to the top of the league. What's the next big challenge you want to take on?
Wow, he's talking about research as a skill. You do your research. Yes, the Snapchat was my personal baby pride and joy to bring it from you can correct me on the numbers because you obviously have them in front of you. What was it, 24 to second?
Hold on, I'll tell you. Yep.
And then we held third for a while, and then we held second for a while. So yes, that was my personal pride and joy that I take ownership of. This year we have a new person on the team, so we're kind of moving around different platforms. We have different players. We have a whole bunch of different things going on. So for now, I don't know what. Oh, you know what? I need to learn Twitter. That's a personal new for me. I haven't worked Twitter yet for a game, but I'm gonna have to. So I'm gonna need to learn
Good
all
luck.
of this. It sounds like a very small feat, but trust me, there's a lot that goes into it because there is not only having, the perfect copy,
Oh my God.
what's zingy enough, what's on brand, what emojis do it. Figuring out the emojis is a whole nother level thing for
Yeah.
figuring out copy, let me just say. But, figuring out the copy, picking the right asset to go up. And then there's also the integration of having the broadcast clips transfer over to the tweets, which I don't know how to do. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. So that's what's new for me right now is just figuring out how to do Twitter for a game. That's the short of it.
Twitter is a beast. It is one where I'm like, during the political season, I don't get on it, but Twitter is what I use for anything and everything sports. It's like, what is happening? Like during a game for Hurricanes, I'm like, oh, player got injured. And I immediately am on Twitter. I'm like, here's the details. Thank you for that. Thank you for Twitter for those privileges. Um, when you think about legacy, what do you want to be remembered for the world of sports media?
I think at the end of the day, the I think a very important aspect of sports media is that we we are in a sense serving fans. We are providing light on things that the fans don't get to see. I'll give a perfect example of this. One of my favorite things I've ever worked on was actually in Rochester. So I was an intern, but I was involved with um, a project partnership with the local children's hospital.
Yeah.
And they had a video series where they would bring one of these cute little kids that you would never sometimes know is something wrong with them. You'd bring them to these games, and that was it, man. Like that was their day. They lit up when they got there. We would present them with personalized jerseys and hats for them, for their parents. Their doctors sometimes even came from the hospital, gave them a suite. And just being able to document that for the brand, for the families,
Yeah.
and to be fair, for the hospital as well.
Yeah.
Like to be able to document that and just show how much of an impact sports can have on someone's day, week, month, life is really like understanding the assignment for me. So to be able to be part of that and to provide legacies like that where we can really just affect people in a good way, I think is the most important, if not the most important aspect of sports media, hands down, 10 toes down.
It always does make your day when you see the impact of like, even with smaller kids, like what sports means to people. And it's such a thrill to be able to see all the different stories, like you were saying. Like, what is it about sports that really attaches itself to people? And it's always, what is it, Iowa? They turn around and they do the wave at the children's hospital. Like, it's the sweetest stuff that you get to see, and how teams give back and how players go to visit, and you just see the light up on their faces of like, holy crap, this is my favorite team is literally in my hospital room right now. It's those little things that truly make a day's difference.
I've gone to the hospitals with the players. I've gone to schools with the guys for maybe they donated equipment or they donated a whole field. I've gone to or we've hosted kids doing like a Halloween pageant as one of the player charity events. I've covered so many different community events, and that's one of my genuinely favorite parts of working in sports is being able to use the platform just to make someone's life a little bit better, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because that's the goal. Like I said, that's the assignment. Understanding that assignment when you're working in sports is that we can provide such a whatever to someone's life is huge.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Chelsea Siegal, I can't thank you enough for sitting down with me and letting me dive into your mind, your background, your career, the things you've gotten to do. I so appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm honored and happy to be here.
Yeah. The ducks are still floating. They are fed. They are okay.
Hopefully the ducks are still floating tomorrow when I go back to work.
Yes. Amen to that. Amen. But you guys, I'm going to have all of Chelsea's socials linked down below. Please go give her a follow. Go stay in tune with everything she's doing. And as always, I will see you guys back here next time. Bye, y'all.